Hello, my name is Paul Heron, and today I'm going to talk about audio editing. We're going to use the Audacity package. Audacity is a free download, and it's great for recording audio and then editing the audio that you've recorded. Of course, you can also import pre-existing audio files. It could be MP3 files or other formats that can also be imported into the Audacity package. And once the editing's all done and you're happy with your final product, then with Audacity you can export the file in various formats, including WAV files or MP3 files. We're going to look at recording a piece of audio. We'll use a pre-existing piece of audio that I have saved off on my machine. We'll do some editing, and then we'll save the final product as an MP3 file. As regards the editing, we're going to be looking at noise reduction, which means taking out any ambient sounds that may be corrupting the recording, or it could be sounds actually introduced by the equipment or the ambient sound in the room. We're going to be trimming the audio, which means that we take off any unwanted audio from the beginning or end of any audio clip. I'll show you how to fade in and out on audio clips. We'll look at how to join various clips together so we create a seamless whole. And then we'll look at splitting an audio. Sometimes, for example, if maybe you've recorded a concert, it could be an hour-long file of music. You might want to split that then into individual pieces of music, which will be exported off as individual MP3s. And we'll look at how to do that as well. So let's get started. Audacity is a freely available download that you can get from the internet. I don't intend to go through today how to install and download Audacity. There are lots of videos on YouTube that you can go and look up if you want to learn how to do that. Most computers have more than one input device for sound. In fact, most laptops come pre-fitted with an internal microphone. The internal microphones tend not to be very good quality. So in all likelihood, you're going to be working using a USB type device, a digital microphone. If that's the case, then you have to tell the computer which input device you want to use for your recording. And the way you do that is to go to your control panel, select your hardware and sound, go to Manage Audio Devices, go to Recording, and then click on the particular input device you want to use. For example, if I wanted to use my standard or my inbuilt microphone, I would click on the microphone line in and set that as default. Now I don't want to do that. I want to use my USB microphone. So I click on that and set that as default. Now, in my case, that's already set as default because I had that already preset. So you'll find you may have to do this before you get started. Otherwise, you may find that your audio doesn't record on Audacity. Okay, to start Audacity, click on the Audacity icon. This is the Audacity interface. If you're going to do any microphone recording, make sure you have the correct microphone selected. Now to do that, go to the drop-down list beside the microphone icon and select the input device that you want to use. In my case, I'm going to use this US22AB. Yours might be different. I'm going to do a mono recording because I'm only using a single microphone. You may be using a stereo microphone, in which case you can leave it on stereo if you like. To do a recording, I'm going to click on the record button. What I intend to do is record an introduction to a piece of music. The piece of music I already have saved on my machine as an MP3. So I'm going to click on record now. At the start of my recording, I'm going to leave a few moments of silence, which I will then use for noise reduction purposes. Hello, my name is Paul Heron. Earlier I met with musician, composer and music teacher Kevin Murphy. And Kevin played a lovely piece of music on the clarinet, and we're going to have a listen to that now. Okay, I just stopped my recording. This is the audio waveform, and this is the silence at the end and at the beginning. Now, most rooms have some ambient noise, and most equipment like microphones, cables, interfaces and so on introduce noise to a waveform. So what we're going to do now is reduce the noise, the ambient noise from this waveform. So we have to say to Audacity, we have to tell Audacity, look, this is what silence sounds like. This piece of audio is silence. Audacity will sample that. It will look for any little imperfections in that and see what they look like. And then it will remove those imperfections from this audio. Okay, so to do that, and I'm clicking and dragging with my mouse using the left mouse button to select that piece of audio. I go to Effect, I go to Noise Removal, and I sample that noise profile. So I click on the Get Noise Profile button. And then I select the audio that I want to reduce the noise on, go back to Effect, back to Noise Removal, and this time I click OK. Audacity behind the scenes has removed any ambient noise from this waveform, leaving me with just the sound that I like, or the sound that I want. If I click on there, hello, my name is Paul Heron. I can hear my voice. Earlier I met with. Now I want to remove this piece of silence from the start and end of my waveform, and this is called trimming. So trimming means removing the audio from before and after the audio that you want. So select the audio you want to keep, and then click on the trimming tool, which is this icon. And that's removed the audio at the front and end of my introduction track. Now what I want to do is time shift this. These numbers here represent seconds, and I want to begin my piece with this introduction. So I have to move this back, and I do that by clicking on this time shift icon, then moving my cursor back over the waveform, clicking and dragging this back. And that sets that back to 0 for me. Hello, my name is Paul Heron. Now I want to go and import my audio track. I'm just going to pause this video just for a second. To input my audio, I go to File and Import Audio. And then I have to locate the file on my hard drive or on my computer. Now I know that this is on my E drive, my stereo, and I know that that this is the piece of audio that I want. STE means stereo, and this is 008. This was recorded, by the way, on a little handheld audio recording device called a Zoom. These could have come from anywhere. It could have been a mobile phone device or any kind of recording device at all. I'll open that. Now, as you can see, this has 2 tracks. This was recorded in stereo. I can play this track or these tracks on their own by clicking on this solo button and then playing, and you'll be able to hear the music. Okay, ideally now I would have had some silence at the start of this, but I didn't record silence. There is a little bit here. So what I'm going to do is expand this out by using my zoom in button. I'm going to select this area of silence. And I'm going to let Audacity sample that and do some noise reduction on this track. So back to Effect, Noise Removal, Get Noise Profile. Now select the track that I want to remove the noise from. Back to Effect, back to Noise Removal, and click on OK. Now, as you can see, I now have two tracks. This is my introduction track, and this is the track with the music on it. I'm just going to unsolo that. If I were to play this now, you would hear my introduction and the music would come in at the wrong time. Earlier, I met with musician introduction, which is not what I want. I want to shift this music track so that it comes, so that it starts after my introduction. Of course, I also want to trim this music track. The music starts here. And ends here. And I want to trim the silence off each side of that track now. So I use my trim tool to do that. Okay. By the way, I can zoom in and out of this. I'm going to just zoom out a little bit to make this a little more manageable. I want to move these audio tracks now so that they start after my, I want to move the music tracks so that they come in after my spoken introduction. So again, I go onto my time shift tool and drag this track to here. Okay, now I listen to these tracks together. And we're going to have a listen to that now. Okay, I think the transition from this track to this track is really too quick. So I'm going to just shift this back maybe half a second or so. Have another listen now. Clarinet, and we're going to have a listen to that now. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is normalize these sound tracks. These sound waves are very low in amplitude. What I would like to do is increase the amplitude of both of these signals. The amplitude affects the volume of sound that you're going to hear. I would like to have this waveform coming up quite close to the one. I don't want to come in right to the one, because if that happens, there's a chance that the audio can clip or distort. The way I do that is select the audio. I'm going to do Control A to select everything. I'm going to go to Effect, and I'm going to go to Normalize. Now, as you can see, I have much healthier looking waveforms now. This will be quite a bit louder in my headphones, but on the recording, I will reduce the level. So the level you hear will be less than the actual level. Otherwise, it might damage your ears. So, hello, my name is Paul Heron. Earlier, I met with musician, composer, and music teacher Kevin Murphy. And Kevin played a lovely piece of music on the clarinet, and we're going to have a listen to that now. Okay, this music goes on for quite a long time. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to fade out. I'm going to take a piece of this music out and fade the music out early. I'm also going to fade in. Now, you wouldn't normally fade in on a piece of music unless it's for some kind of effect. But for the purposes of this training video, that's what I'm going to do. So say I take, I'm going to select my selection tool. So let me see, that starts at about 15, 20, 25. I take it from around here maybe and just delete this track. So I'm highlighting this piece of the track. I'm just clicking on my delete key. I could also right click. No, I can't. I take this to the end and click delete. Now to fade out the track, I select the piece I want to fade on. So that would be a just over 2 second fade. Click on Effect and click on Fade Out. Okay, so this now fades out that piece of music. So if I listen to that now, it sounds like this. Okay, maybe I'll just do a little bit more fading at the end. It's just a little bit abrupt. Back to Effect, fade out again. Now have another listen. Okay. Now I'm going to fade in at the start of the piece. Let's just have a listen, just to remind ourselves how it sounds at the minute. Sorry, I have to unclick the solo. And we're going to have a listen to that now. Okay, so if I want to fade in on the track, I'll have a shorter fade in, maybe it's just a second or two. So highlight the piece of audio that I want to fade on, click on Effect, and fade in. And you can see this now changes the shape of that waveform as well. The height of the waveform affects the volume. It's called amplitude. Okay, so let's have another listen. I'll unsolo that. And the clarinet. And we're going to have a listen to that now. Okay, so that is, we've done quite a bit of work on that now. We have recorded an introduction. We've trimmed the introduction. We've done noise removal. We've imported a piece of audio, an MP3. We have noise reduced and trimmed the piece of music. We have moved it, time shifted it so it comes in after our introduction. We faded into that piece of music and we faded out at the end. So I'm happy now with this piece, and what I want to do is export this now as a single MP3 file. So I'm going to click File and Export Audio. Okay, I'm going to locate the place where I want to put this. In fact, for now, I'll just put this on my SD card. I'm saving it as an MP3 file type here, and I'm going to call this tutorial. Now I'm given some options. I can put the artist name. I'll just put my own name in here. I'll put Kevin's in as well. Call it track 1. Tutorial. And click OK. Now if I go to my SD card, there's my tutorial MP3 created for me, and I can play that. Hello, my name is Paul Heron. Earlier I met with musician, composer and music teacher Kevin Murphy, and Kevin played a lovely piece of music on the clarinet, and we're going. Okay, in a minute we're going to look at how to re-import that MP3 file and split the file into 2 tracks. I'm just going to pause the video now. What I'm going to do now is take our track and split it into 2 tracks. Sometimes, for example, when you might be at a concert, you might have an hour's music recorded. But that hour's music might contain 20 songs, and you have it recorded as a single track. Audacity allows you to go in and quite quickly, or very quickly in fact, split that audio into multiple tracks and then save them off as individual tracks. I will take the video that we recorded for this tutorial and split that into 2 tracks, one of them being the introduction and the second one being the piece of music. To do that, I go and grab the audio, so I'll open. I saved it off on my E drive, so there we have tutorial, my MP3. and I'm going to open that. Now, here is my spoken voice, and this is the clarinet. You see the different shape of those two waveforms. First of all, I'd select this spoken voice as the first track. So I highlight that. I go into tracks, and add labeled section. So I'm going to call this introduction. Okay. Now I'm going to take my second track here, and my second, the music piece, back to tracks, and back to add label at section, and I call this music. Now I can save these off as individual tracks. So I say, I click on File, Export Multiple. Click on Export, and it asks me if I want to provide any additional information or change the information on the metadata. And there's the second track. So it's going to save these two tracks, and it's saved them to this location. So if I grab this so we can have a look and see them. So I'll be looking for two tracks in the introduction.wav and music.wav. And I could then just go and copy these onto a CD to create a music CD. Click on here. Okay, and there are the two tracks that I've just saved off. And that was very, very quick to be able to do that. So that's how you split a waveform. Sorry, that's how you split a single recording into multiple tracks. Okay, so that wraps up our introduction to basic editing. We had a look at Audacity. We looked at how to record a piece of audio, how to import an existing piece of audio, how to do noise reduction, how to trim an audio track, how to fade in and out, how to take an audio track and split it into multiple tracks, and then how to export the audio as an MP3 or WAV or other file version. Thanks very much for watching and listening to this video, and I hope that you have fun using Audacity in future. And really, there's loads to learn, so just get stuck into it, do loads of video tutorials, try things, and just enjoy it. Thank you very much.